Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the BP Marsh and Partners PLC Annual General Meeting. Throughout this recorded meeting, attendees online will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. They can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please just simply type in your questions and press send. I would now like to hand you over to the chairman of today's meeting, John. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So to our shareholders and all visitors, I would like to welcome you to the BP Marsh and Partners Annual General Meeting. I'd like to welcome shareholders who are viewing the meeting electronically, as well as those present in person here today. So just a brief introduction, I'm John Newman, the Finance Director of BP Marsh, and I'll be chairing the meeting today. I would also like to introduce Dan Topping, our Chief Investment Officer. We also have Sinead O'Hare, our Company Secretary, with us as well. As we recently gave an Investor Meet Company presentation following our year-end 31st of January 24 annual results, we won't be repeating that again. However, the recording of the 12th of June 2024 presentation remains available on the IMC portal, which you're all welcome to go and review. We will, however, deal with any questions you may have after the formal business of the meeting. It is now just after 11 o'clock, so I will commence with the formal proceedings. As we have a quorum, I declare the meeting open. I'm pleased to inform you that the meeting today is being recorded and live streamed so that shareholders and other stakeholders who cannot be present can view it on the company's profile on Investor Meet Company, both live and as a recording in their own time. By way of reminder, shareholders who are viewing the AGM online will not be participating in the voting of resolutions and will hopefully have submitted their votes by proxy in advance of the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to start the formal proceedings of this annual general meeting. The notice of annual general meeting, together with explanatory notes, was posted to shareholders on the 25th of June 2024. Accordingly, the requisite notice of the meeting has been given. I propose, therefore, that with your consent, the notice of meeting should be taken as read. Is that all agreed? Thank you. On to voting procedures. To accurately reflect the views of the shareholders of the company, voting today will be done by way of a poll on each of the resolutions put to the meeting. This is seen as best practice as it gives all shareholders the opportunity to participate in the decision making of the company and have their votes recorded in proportion to the number of shares that they hold. I'm appointing Equinity Group, the group's registrar, to act as scrutineers. A summary of each resolution will be shown on the screen, together with a breakdown of the proxy votes we've received thus far, before I put each resolution to the vote. As it will take some time to complete the poll procedure, the final results of the voting, including the proxy votes on each of the resolutions, will be announced through our regulatory information service and will be published on our website as soon as reasonably practicable. You have three options for each resolution. You can vote for the proposed resolution, against the proposed resolution, or you may withhold your vote. A vote withheld is not a vote in law and will not be counted in the calculation of the proportion of the votes for or against the resolution. Will you please complete your poll card by ticking the appropriate box next to the relevant resolution, depending on how you wish to cast your vote. Once all votes have been taken on the resolutions, please would you sign the poll card and hand your completed card to Sinead O'Hare. Should you require any further assistance, our registrars or Sinead O'Hare will be happy to assist you. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I should like to proceed by dealing with the formal business of the meeting at the outset before moving on to any questions, unless anyone has any specific questions relating to a specific resolution, in which case please raise them now. Okay, thank you. So we will now proceed to vote on the resolutions which I will formally propose to the meeting. The full text of each of the resolutions is set out in the notice of meeting, a copy of which you will have received. Resolutions 1 through 12 are proposed as ordinary resolutions and require a simple majority to be passed. Resolutions 13 and 14 are proposed as special resolutions, which to be passed require a majority of 75% to vote in favour of the resolution. Resolution 1. The first resolution is to receive and adopt the annual report and accounts for the year ended 31st of January 2024. So I now propose that the annual report and accounts for the year ended 31st of January 2024 be received and adopted, together with a report of the directors and the report of the auditors. As I explained, to vote, please would you tick the appropriate box on your poll card to vote for the resolution or against the resolution, or you may withhold your vote. These instructions apply to all the resolutions and will not be repeated. Thank you. So I now declare the poll closed. The provisional results are shown as such, and subject to confirmation by our registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 2. The second resolution is to approve the report of the Remuneration Committee. I now propose to receive and approve the report of the Remuneration Committee set out on pages 33 to 37 of the company's report of accounts for the financial year ended 31st of January 2024. So I now declare the poll closed, and subject to confirmation by our registrars, as you can see, the resolution is carried. Resolution 3 is to declare a final dividend of 5.36 pence per ordinary share, as recommended by the directors. If approved, the recommended final dividend will be payable on the 26th of July 2024 to all shareholders on the register of members at the close of business on the record date of 28th of June 2024. So I therefore propose to approve the final dividend of 5.36 pence per ordinary share. Okay, thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, this resolution is carried. Resolution 4. The fourth item on the agenda is the reappointment of Mr. Brian Marsh as a director of the company. I therefore propose to re-elect Mr. Brian Marsh as a director of the company. Will you please vote now? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 5. The fifth item on the agenda is the reappointment of Ms. Alice Falk as a director of the company. I therefore propose to re-elect Ms. Alice Falk as a director of the company. Please will you vote now? I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 6. The sixth item on the agenda is the reappointment of Mr. Daniel Topping as a director of the company. I therefore propose to re-elect Mr. Daniel Topping as a director of the company. Will you please vote? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 7. The seventh item on the agenda is the reappointment of Mr. Jonathan Newman as the director of the company. It's a dodgy one, this one. I therefore propose to re-elect Mr. Jonathan Newman as director of the company. Will you please vote now? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 8. The eighth item on the agenda is the reappointment of Mr. Pankaj Lakhani as director of the company. I therefore propose to re-elect Mr. Pankaj Lakhani as the director of the company. Will you please vote? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 9. The ninth item on the agenda is the reappointment of Mr. Nick Carter as the director of the company. I therefore propose to re-elect Mr. Nick Carter as the director of the company. Will you please vote? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 10. The 10th item on the agenda is to reappoint Rawlinson & Hunter Audit LLP until the conclusion of the next general meeting for which the accounts are laid. I therefore propose to reappoint Rawlinson & Hunter Audit LLP as auditors of the company until the conclusion of the next general meeting for which accounts are laid. Will you please vote now? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 11. The 11th item on the agenda is to authorise the directors of the company to determine the remuneration of the auditors of the company. I therefore propose to authorise the directors to determine the remuneration of Rawlinson & Hunter Audit LLP. Please vote. Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 12. The 12th item on the agenda is the granting of authority to allow the company to allot ordinary shares or grant rights to subscribe for or to convert any security into shares in the company up to a nominal value of 1,241,000 £94.30. I therefore propose to authorise the directors, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 551 of the Companies Act 2006, otherwise known as the Act, to allot ordinary shares or grant rights to, subscribe for, or to convert any security into shares in the company up to a nominal amount of £1,241,094.30. Will you please vote now? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. Resolution 13. The 13th item on the agenda is the granting of authority to allow the company to allot equity securities wholly for cash pursuant to the authority given in Resolution 12, which is proposed as a special resolution. So I therefore propose to authorise and empower the directors, subject to the passing of Resolution 12 above, in accordance with the Companies Act, to allot equity securities either in connection with a preemptive offer or, if not up to, an aggregate nominal amount of £186,164.10, disregarding preemption rights. Such power to expire at the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company or on the 31st of July 2025, whichever is the third. Will you please vote now? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by a registrar, the resolution is carried. The 14th item on the agenda is the granting of authority to allow the company to buy back up to 3,723,283 of the company's shares, which is proposed as a special resolution. So I therefore propose to authorise the company to make market purchases of ordinary shares in the company in such manner and on such terms as the directors of the company may from time to time determine, up to a maximum of 3,723,283 ordinary shares, such power to expire at the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company or on the 31st of July 2025, whichever is the year. Would you please vote now? Thank you. I declare the poll closed. Subject to confirmation by registrars, the resolution is carried. So, moving on to questions. Questions will be moderated before being sent to me as chair. This is to avoid repetition and to ensure the smooth running of the meeting. If multiple questions on the same topic are received, I may choose to provide a single answer to address member queries on the same topic. Please note that if your question pertains to the Audit or Remuneration Committee, as Pankaj Lakhani, who chairs the Audit and Remuneration, was unable to attend the meeting in person, it might be that these questions are better dealt with by him after the meeting. Before asking your question, please can give me your name and state whether you are a shareholder, proxy or corporate representative. If you are a proxy or corporate representative, please state your name and the name of the shareholder you are representing. Firstly, we'll deal with those questions that were submitted in advance of the meeting and then invite questions from the floor, and then we will take any questions that were received online. So we've had two pre-submitted questions which we will take in turn. First question, your investment in LEBC was valued at approximately 4 million for 59.3% of the equity. Given this valuation, why did you pay 1.1 million for 2.53% of the company after the year end? So whilst we don't set out in detail all the transactions that the group undertake, we agreed to acquire these shares in principle prior to the transaction in order to achieve the successful sale of the Aspira business as combined with the assets of LEBC Group to Titan Wealth for the benefit of all shareholders of LEBC Holdings. A conservative approach has been taken on the valuation of the existing holding, given the nature of the sale arrangement with Titan, and we are receiving deferred consideration over a 3-year period based upon performance. The board considers that a higher value could therefore be achieved eventually, but has taken a pragmatic approach at this time. Second question that we received, do you expect Ardonna to retain the investment in BP Marsh following the recent acquisition of PLC Insurance Group? Well, I understand that that acquisition is subject to confirmation of approvals, including regulatory. Just to explain that PLC Insurance don't have a board presence and are just shareholders alongside other shareholders. So we're aware of the proposed transaction between the two entities, but we cannot comment on what their future plans may be at this time. So that deals with the questions that we received in advance. And now I'd like to open it up to the floor if any of our shareholders have any questions that they may wish to ask. And please, if you could state your name and ask it, and this is set out if you are a shareholder.
Okay, my name is Vaughan Moody. I'm a shareholder. I've got about 4 questions. The first one is when I look at the valuations, for example, I can see with Lily Plummer risks, 30% value is equivalent to 13.46 million. I can see that the forecast EBITDA is about 5 million. I also look at Pantheon Speciality, where 25% value is equivalent to 14.8 million, with a forecast EBITDA of 10 million. My question is, how quickly did the valuations, or is it only when the forecasts are confirmed or not by verified annual accounts that the valuations are changed to reflect the new realities of the profitability of the respective organisations?
I think on the generality of valuing brokers, it's a case-by-case basis, to be fair for. Pantheon's obviously had an excellent start to its life as an independent broker, but it's only just over 12 months in. So at that point, we apply a variety of discount factors or modifiers to what we look at valuation. But as that investment in Pantheon continues to establish itself, improve it or increase its footprint, then clearly it'll start to mirror similar valuation models for more established insurance broking operations.
Okay. Would you anticipate that after a year or 2, or give it more time?
I wouldn't ever like to put a time frame on it specifically, but certainly when we look at it at the next round of valuations, it will be there an extra 6 months. Headcount will increase. It's standing on its own 2 feet. So yeah, I would imagine it wouldn't be unfair to assume an incremental increase in that valuation given its underlying EBITDA performance.
Okay. The next is more general in terms of, obviously, it's a considerable sum of money in the bank. What are the opportunities out there like? And how could I put it, restrict yourself to just the insurance industry or the English-speaking insurance industry? What are your views?
I think there's a pretty active pipeline of new business, but we won't move outside of our modus operandi, what we're looking at for new business. So that 0 to 5 million investment size structure, broadly speaking, is similar, but where I think we've seen success with Kentro, for example. We made an investment for 5% for 1.5 million. Ultimately, we invested 15 million, which at the time was the largest single investment we've made from a cash standpoint. Focusing or allocating some of our resources to the existing portfolio seems to be bearing fruit, and certainly with the likes of XBT in America, that was a startup in 2017 with 4 people in a business plan. It's now a couple of hundred employees, knocking down the doors of $1 billion in premium, 22 and north of 20 million in EBITDA. We've committed circa 18 million pounds to that, and if we can see a strong trajectory for further growth, increasing the BP Marsh's stake of the BP Marsh's valuation, we'll commit further funds to that. So I think our modus operandi in terms of new business won't change, but in terms of follow-on funding to the existing portfolio, where we see a strong track record for growth and further opportunity to deploy cash at an exceptional rate of return, that's, I think, what I would flag.
Yes, so just to confirm, you perceive, well, the niche is clearly 5 million plus wherever inflation takes it, but the changes in effect you can continue longer with the present companies. Okay. Changing more to some extent with governance, I can see on page 29, first column, an ultimate paragraph, if I'm being specific, a review of performance and effectiveness of directors takes place annually, but is assessed on an ongoing basis. How is that done?
We have an annual performance review of each director, the board effectiveness from the chairman on down. That's annually, but it's performance of the portfolio, how the board demonstrates or its authority, how we manage the portfolio is done every board meeting really. So and that's at the PLC level, which is the ultimate owner of the business, but we do have a subsidiary board at company level that again mirrors the board practices and review that the PLC does. So I think it's, for the size of the business and how we're growing, I think it's relatively robust.
And my final, which is more specific question, page 39, I can see the auditor continued, or the relevant auditor continued due to extenuating circumstances. Dare I ask what were the extenuating circumstances?
Hopefully they won't mind me saying this. So we were going to change our senior audit partner, and the new person who was proposed, who was already in place, unfortunately suffered from some long-term illness. And so under the circumstances and given the time involved, it was considered that it was acceptable. So the audit committee and thus the board subsequently agreed that under the circumstances we were okay with the continuation of the existing audit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Apologies, Mr. Mayor. Are there any other questions from the floor? No? Okay. Can I confirm there were no more questions from online? Okay, well, thank you. So we have a summary up on the screen, but for those of you on the floor, so our summary position is, so our investments continue to achieve attractive returns over long periods with low risk for investors. Obviously, we've had a incredibly successful year, achieving 22%, including the dividends that were paid during the year. BP Marsh's expertise and experience puts us in a prime position to continue to support financial intermediaries to reach the next level. There are plenty of opportunities out there, both within new opportunities and expansion of the existing portfolio. We've demonstrated our ability to be able to invest in and dispose of at or above our investment valuations, and we've had an incredible record, with some significant realisations over the last 12 months from Kentro and CBC. The company has allocated £1 million to a share buyback programme. We've invested £300,000 up to the date of the AGM, of which we bought back at about £5.17 a share. So they would be on our diluted NAV worth about £400,000. So we've just renewed that for £1 million. We will obviously, that goes to support the share price without obviously trying to take away too much liquidity from the market. But we're buying back at a price of £5.32 a share at the moment. So with plenty of opportunities. After the payment of the latest dividend, which is £2 million, we've got about £80 million in the bank, so plenty of cash for those opportunities. We've declared an aspiration to pay £4 million a year for the next 2 years in dividends. And so we're in an excellent place, and the portfolio is doing very well at the moment. So with that, I'd like to thank all of our shareholders, both those online and also everyone who's made the effort to come to the meeting in person. Thank you. And so, as such, I'd like to declare the meeting closed. Confirmation of the final results of the meeting will be announced to the markets through our regulatory information service and posted on our website as soon as practical. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. John, that's great. And thank you to the board for updating attendees online this morning. Could I please ask attendees online not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the management team can really better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the board of BP Marsh and Partners PLC, we would like to thank you for attending today's annual general meeting, and good afternoon to you all.